In recent times, there's been growing tension in the automotive world, especially among wealthy car buyers who own some of the most expensive vehicles ever made. At the center of this discussion is Bugatti, a brand known for building hypercars that cost between $3 to $4 million. For years, Bugatti has been seen as the ultimate symbol of luxury, performance, and exclusivity. People who buy these cars are not just purchasing a vehicle. They are buying a dream, a status symbol, and a promise that they own something truly unique. However, that image has recently been challenged. The controversy started when Mat Armstrong, a popular car YouTuber known for rebuilding damaged supercars, began working on a crashed Bugatti Chiron. During the rebuild process, he discovered something unexpected. Some parts inside the car appear to come from Volkswagen Group vehicles. This raised a serious question that quickly spread across the internet. Are Bugatti owners really paying millions for cars that use parts from much cheaper vehicles? As this idea gained attention, it created doubt among existing owners and potential buyers. People began to wonder whether the high price of these hypercars is truly justified. The situation became even more interesting because Bugatti is part of the Volkswagen Group, which also owns brands like Audi, Porsche, and Volkswagen itself. While it is normal for large companies to share parts across brands, the idea of a multi-million-dollar hypercar using components from everyday cars shocked many people. This is where the tension comes from. It is not about performance or speed, because Bugatti cars are still among the fastest in the world, but about perception. Buyers believed they were getting something completely exclusive, built from scratch with unique components. Now, that belief is being questioned, and it has led to a wave of discussions, debates, and even criticism within the automotive community that to understand why this situation has caused such a strong reaction. It is important to look at how Bugatti has been marketed over the years. Bugatti is not just a car brand. It is presented as the peak of engineering excellence. When someone buys a Bugatti, they are told they are getting a machine that represents the best of human innovation. The cars are described as hand-built masterpieces, created with extreme precision and attention to detail. Buyers are also told that the components inside these cars are highly specialized, rare, and designed specifically for Bugatti models. This is one of the main reasons why the cars cost so much. The idea is simple. If something is rare and difficult to build, it should be expensive. Bugatti also emphasizes the performance of its cars. With top speeds exceeding 400 kilometers per hour, these vehicles require advanced engineering solutions that are not found in normal cars. This further strengthens the belief that every part inside a Bugatti must be unique. However, the recent discoveries have challenged this idea. If some parts are shared with more common vehicles, then the question becomes, how much of the car is truly unique? This does not mean Bugatti is doing something wrong. In fact, many car manufacturers share parts across different models to save costs and improve reliability. But the difference here is the price level. When a car costs millions, buyers expect everything about it to be exclusive. Even small details matter. That is why the discovery of shared components has had such a strong impact. It has made people question not just the parts themselves, but the entire concept of what they're paying for. Are they paying for engineering, or are they paying for the brand name and image? This is a question that continues to drive the discussion forward. Another important part of the story is the cost of owning a Bugatti. These cars are not just expensive to buy, they're also extremely expensive to maintain. For example, a simple oil change can cost around $25,000. This is not a small amount of money. It is enough to buy a brand new car from many popular brands. Tires for a Bugatti can cost over $40,000, and they need to be replaced regularly due to the high performance of the vehicle. Even basic parts like headlights or keys can cost tens of thousands of dollars. These prices are usually justified by the idea that Bugatti parts are rare, specialized, and designed only for these cars. Owners accept these costs because they believe they are paying for something unique. However, when people hear that some components might be shared with much cheaper cars, it changes how they see these prices. Suddenly, the high cost does not feel as justified as before. This is where frustration begins. If a part that costs hundreds of dollars in another car is being sold for thousands in a Bugatti, it raises concerns about pricing strategies. At the same time, it is important to understand that the cost of Bugatti is not just about individual parts. It includes research and development, engineering, design, and the low number of cars produced. When a company builds only a few hundred units, the cost per car becomes much higher. Still, from a customer's point of view, it is easy to focus on the parts themselves. This creates a gap between what the company sees as fair pricing and what customers feel is reasonable. That gap is what is now being discussed widely, especially after the rebuild videos brought these details into the public eye. The most talked about moment in this entire situation is the discovery of a specific part during the rebuild process. While working on the crashed Bugatti Chiron, Mat Armstrong removed the passenger airbag and noticed a part number printed on it. This part number looked familiar, especially to someone who has worked on many Volkswagen Group cars. After checking the number, he found that it matched an airbag used in an Audi A3, which is a much more affordable car. This discovery quickly became a major talking point. The idea that a multi-million-dollar hypercar could use the same airbag as a regular car surprised many people. To test this further, he even installed a similar airbag into Bugatti, and it appeared to fit perfectly. This led to the conclusion that the parts were either identical or very closely related. For many viewers, this was shocking. However, there is another side to this story that should also be considered. Safety components like airbags are often shared across different models because they must meet strict safety standards. Using a proven design can actually be a smart decision, as it ensures reliability and reduces the risk of failure. In this context, sharing parts is not necessarily a negative thing. It can even be seen as a practical choice. The problem is not the sharing itself, but how it affects the perception of value. When people hear shared parts, they often think of cost cutting, even if that is not the full story. This shows how powerful perception can be in the world of luxury products. What matters is not just what the product is, but how it is presented and understood by the audience. As the discussion continues, it is important to look at the bigger picture. The automotive industry has always used shared components, especially within large groups like Volkswagen. This practice helps companies reduce costs, improve efficiency, and maintain consistent quality across different brands. Even high-end manufacturers use parts that are not entirely unique. For example, switches, sensors, and safety systems are often shared because they do not directly affect performance. What makes a Bugatti special is not just individual parts, but how everything is put together. The engine, the design, the aerodynamics, and the overall engineering are still extremely advanced. These are the areas where Bugatti invests heavily, and they play a major role in the car's performance and identity. However, the recent controversy shows that customers care deeply about every detail, especially when they are paying such high prices. Even a small shared component can change how people feel about the entire product. This is why the situation has gained so much attention. It is not just about one airbag or one part. It is about trust, expectation, and value. Buyers want to feel that they are getting something truly special, and any information that challenges that feeling can create doubt. In the end, the question is not whether Bugatti cars are impressive. They clearly are, but whether the experience matches the expectations created by the brand. This is something that each buyer must decide for themselves. Some may still see Bugatti as the ultimate hypercar, while others may start to look at it differently. What is certain is that this discussion has changed how people think about luxury cars. It will likely continue to influence the market in the future as more people began to follow the rebuild process by Mat Armstrong. The conversation started to move beyond just one airbag and into a deeper discussion about how Bugatti handles repairs and customer service. One of the most interesting examples came from another Bugatti owner who was facing an issue with a Veyron's gearbox. The car had a problem where it would not shift properly, which is a serious issue for any vehicle, especially one that costs millions. When the owner contacted Bugatti for help, he was told that the gearbox could not be repaired at a component level. Instead, it had to be replaced as a sealed unit. The estimated cost of this replacement was between 200,000 and 300,000 euros, which is an extremely high amount, even for wealthy individuals. From Bugatti's perspective, this approach makes sense because it ensures quality control and reduces the risk of improper repairs. By replacing the entire unit, they can guarantee that the car will perform as expected. However, from a customer's point of view, this policy can feel frustrating and expensive, especially if the actual problem is something small. This is exactly what made the situation more controversial. When independent mechanics looked at similar issues, they sometimes found that the problem could be fixed with a simple and inexpensive solution, such as replacing a small electrical component or fuse. This created a strong contrast between official repair methods and independent solutions. It also raised an important question. Are Bugatti's repair policies designed for reliability, or are they unnecessarily expensive? The truth likely lies somewhere in the middle. High-performance cars require careful handling, and not every mechanic is qualified to work on them. At the same time, completely replacing major components for minor issues can seem excessive. This situation highlights the challenges of owning a hypercar. It is not just about buying the car. It is about dealing with the long-term costs and decisions that come with it. For many people, this is where the real experience of ownership begins, and it is not always as smooth as they might expect. Another important part of the story involves the actual repair work shown in the rebuild videos. When Bugatti originally assessed some damaged vehicles, they claimed that certain structural repairs could only be done at specialized facilities with advanced equipment. This reinforced the idea that Bugatti cars are so complex that only a few places in the world can fix them properly. However, during the rebuild process, skilled technicians were able to repair parts of the car using standard tools and techniques. For example, structural sections of the chassis were fixed using TIG welding, which is a common method in high-quality metalwork. The results appear to be very precise and strong, showing that it is possible to repair these cars outside official Bugatti centers. This does not mean that Bugatti was wrong, but it does suggest that there may be more flexibility than initially presented. One of the technicians involved, often referred to as Bob in the videos, demonstrated a high level of skill and attention to detail. His work showed that with the right knowledge and experience, independent experts can handle complex repairs. This has important implications for Bugatti owners. It suggests that they may have more options than they think when it comes to maintaining their vehicles. At the same time, it also raises concerns about consistency and standards. Official Bugatti facilities follow strict guidelines to ensure that every repair meets factory specifications. Independent repairs may vary depending on the skill of the technician. This creates a balance between cost and certainty. Owners must decide whether they prefer the safety of official services or the potential savings of independent work. The rebuild videos have made this decision more visible to the public, and they have shown that the world of hypercar maintenance is more complex than it might seem at first glance. As this discussion continues to grow, it is important to understand the role of perception in the luxury market. Luxury products are not just about function. They're also about emotion, identity, and status. When someone buys a Bugatti, they are not only interested in speed or engineering, they also care about what the car represents. It is a symbol of success, achievement, and exclusivity. This is why even small details can have a big impact. If a customer feels that a product is not as exclusive as they believed, it can change their entire experience. The recent controversy has affected this perception in a significant way. Some people now see Bugatti cars differently. Even though the cars themselves have not changed, they still offer incredible performance, advanced engineering, and stunning design. However, the story around them has shifted. Instead of focusing only on innovation and luxury, people are now also talking about shared parts and high maintenance costs. This shows how powerful information can be in shaping opinions. At the same time, it is important to remember that perception is not always the same as reality. A shared component does not automatically reduce the overall value of a car. What matters is how all the parts work together to create a complete experience. In many cases, Bugatti still delivers something that very few other brands can match. The challenge now is for the brand to maintain its image while addressing these new concerns. This may involve better communication, more transparency, or changes in how the cars are marketed. For customers, the situation is an opportunity to think more carefully about what they value. Some may continue to see Bugatti as the ultimate hypercar, while others may become more critical. Either way, the conversation has added a new layer of understanding to the world of luxury automobiles. Looking at the bigger picture, this situation is not only about Bugatti. It reflects a wider trend in the automotive industry, and even in other luxury markets. Many high-end products share components with more affordable ones, especially when they are part of a larger corporate group. This is done to improve efficiency, and reduce development costs. In most cases, customers are not aware of these shared elements, or they simply do not think about them. However, when this information becomes public, it can change how people feel about the product. The Bugatti case is a clear example of this. It shows how quickly public opinion can shift when new details are revealed. It also highlights the importance of transparency and communication. Brands that operate in the luxury segment must be careful about how they present their products. If they create very high expectations, they must be ready to meet them in every aspect. Otherwise, even small issues can become major controversies. At the same time, customers also have a role to play. It is important to understand that no product is completely perfect or entirely unique in every detail. Even the most expensive items are influenced by practical considerations such as cost, safety, and production efficiency. By having a more realistic view, buyers can make better decisions and avoid disappointment. The Bugatti situation has opened the door for these kinds of discussions, and it may lead to more awareness in the future. People may start asking more questions before making large purchases, and they may look beyond marketing claims to understand what they are really getting. This could ultimately lead to a more informed and balanced market. In the end, the question of whether Bugatti is worth its price remains a personal decision. There is no simple answer, because value means different things to different people. For some, the performance, design, and brand prestige are more than enough to justify the cost. For others, the discovery of shared components and high-maintenance expenses may reduce the appeal. What is clear is that the recent rebuild videos by Mat Armstrong have had a significant impact on how people view these cars. They have provided a rare look inside a world that is usually hidden from the public. This has created both curiosity and controversy, leading to a deeper understanding of what goes into building and maintaining a hypercar. It is important to approach this information with a balanced perspective. Bugatti cars are still engineering masterpieces, capable of delivering performance that very few vehicles can match. At the same time, they are also products of a large industrial system, where sharing resources is common. The truth lies somewhere between these two realities. As the conversation continues, it will be interesting to see how Bugatti and other luxury brands respond. They may choose to be more open about their processes, or they may focus on reinforcing the unique aspects of their products. For buyers, the key is to understand what matters most to them. Whether it is exclusivity, performance, or brand image, each factor plays a role in the final decision. The recent controversy has not changed what Bugatti cars are, but it has changed how people think about them. And in the world of luxury, perception can be just as important as reality. As the debate continues to spread across the internet, many automotive experts and enthusiasts have started adding more context to the situation, which helps in understanding it more clearly. One key point that often gets missed in viral discussions is how large automotive groups like Volkswagen Group actually operate. This company owns multiple brands, including Bugatti, Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, and Volkswagen. Because of this structure, it is very common for different brands to share certain components, especially those related to safety, electronics, and basic functions. This is not done to trick customers, but to improve efficiency and ensure reliability. For example, safety parts like airbags go through strict testing and certification processes. Once a design is proven to work well, it makes sense to use it across multiple vehicles rather than creating a completely new version for each model. This reduces costs and increases safety because the part has already been tested in many real-world conditions. In the case of Bugatti, the focus of innovation is usually on performance-related components such as the engine, aerodynamics, cooling systems, and chassis design. These are the areas where the brand truly stands out. However, when viewers see a shared component like an airbag, they may assume that the entire car is built the same way, which is not accurate. This misunderstanding is one of the main reasons why the controversy has grown so quickly. Social media often simplifies complex topics, turning them into clear but sometimes misleading narratives. While it is true that some parts are shared, it does not mean that Bugatti cars are simply rebranded versions of cheaper vehicles. The reality is much more complex, involving a mix of shared technology and unique engineering. Understanding this balance is important for anyone trying to form a fair opinion about the situation. Another angle that deserves attention is the role of content creators in shaping public opinion. People like Mat Armstrong have become very influential because they provide behind-the-scenes access that most people would never see otherwise. His rebuild videos are detailed, engaging, and easy to understand, which makes them very popular. By showing the actual process of taking apart and repairing a Bugatti, he has given viewers a rare look at what is usually hidden behind a brand's polished image. This kind of transparency is valuable because it helps people learn more about how these cars are built. However, it also comes with responsibility. When complex technical details are presented in a simplified way, there is a risk that viewers may draw conclusions that are not fully accurate. For example, seeing a shared part might lead someone to believe that the entire car lacks originality, even if that is not the case. This is not necessarily the intention of the creator, but it shows how powerful visual evidence can be. People tend to trust what they can see, especially when it is presented clearly and confidently. As a result, videos like these can influence not only casual viewers, but also potential buyers and even current owners. This has created a new dynamic in the automotive world, where independent creators can challenge the narratives of major brands. It is a positive development in many ways because it encourages transparency and accountability. At the same time, it also highlights the importance of critical thinking. Viewers should consider multiple perspectives and understand that one video or one example does not always represent the full picture. By doing so, they can form more balanced opinions and avoid being influenced by incomplete information. The reaction from Bugatti owners has also been an interesting part of this story. While some people have expressed concern or disappointment, others have defended the brand and its practices. This difference in opinion shows that not all buyers see value in the same way. For many Bugatti owners, the experience of owning such a rare and powerful car goes beyond individual components. It includes the design, the driving experience, the brand history, and the exclusivity of owning something that very few people in the world can have. From this perspective, the use of shared parts does not significantly reduce the value of the car. In fact, some owners may not even care about these details, as long as the car performs well and delivers the experience they expect. On the other hand, some buyers feel that when they're paying millions of dollars, every aspect of the car should be unique. For them, the idea of shared components can feel disappointing, even if those parts do not affect performance. This difference in expectations is at the heart of the current debate. It shows that luxury is not just about the product itself, but also about the story and meaning behind it. When that story changes, even slightly, it can affect how people feel about their purchase. This is why brands like Bugatti invest